Episode 6, Beyond the Cypher with Illskillz. Today we have from Supreme Beingz, my man Jiggz in the house. Jiggz, how you doing, brother?
I'm chilling, man. How you been?
I'm good, man. I haven't seen you in like a decade when you guys came out here for the NBL as the New York State champs, man. How's life been treating you?
Life's been good, hanging in there. We still here, we still kicking, so can't complain. We still got opportunities to make things happen, make things better.
No doubt, man. I want to talk about all those. But as usual, I just like to start, where it starts. So for me, that would be like, how did you get introduced into breaking? Like, what was your first time where you came into contact with the dance?
Well, I've always been into hip hop, so I got a glimpse here and there growing up since like, the early days of like MTV and things like that. Growing up in the 80s is kind of like around you, but I didn't really come into like really close contact until like the mid 90s. You know what I'm saying? When it was really through like just a couple of friends and doing it at home, then doing it like in the sidewalk, and from there it just took off, met other people and just continued to do it. So yeah, like I said, just growing up with it basically, and then like I really like met some people who knew like foundation and history and started putting us on.
Right.
Yeah, we could talk about a couple of those heads too.
Yeah, because I would love to talk about a couple of, like, who were those heads?
Well, my immediate circle that was like curious about it was like my boy Elastic Fantastic, my boy Josh, and my boy Manny, right? So we grew up in Queens, and it's called Corona, but like right nearby in that same neighborhood is Flearock City. So a couple of my friends was from there, and we would just like hang out and just eventually started trying things. And one of my friends knew this kid from the neighborhood that had moved over to the Bronx. So he took me out there. We went to like a community center, and they had a practice spot. And there was this crew out there, Ready to Rock. Everybody knows. They're well known out here. But they have their own practice spot. And that's where I first went, and I seen like real b-boying and shit like that. And then, they taught us a couple basics. My boy Gio and his brother Henry, those were the guys from my neighborhood that had moved over to the Bronx. And they had put us onto some stuff. And then we came back home and, just got stuck on it and just doing it in the crib or outside any chance that we got. Then we got our hands on a couple cassettes, like movies. Like we went to the video store, got B Street, shit like that. Never gave them back. Just kept watching them over and over, trying to take whatever moves we can. And it's funny because, when we was first doing it, my boy Elvis had put me on, and then me and Joshua took to it, and we started messing around in the apartment. And his cousin Manny, he was like, "What y'all doing?" It was like, "Yo, we're doing this breaking thing." And he was like, "Oh, I know some shit." And he started throwing down, and he's doing like swipes, and he did like a little kick backspin and shit. I'm like, we're like, "Yo, how the fuck you know this shit?" And he's like, "Oh, my cousin is a freestyle dancer. He used to like dance on stage with like freestyle singers and shit. And he had taught me some moves." And I was like, "Damn, bro, you was holding out this whole time." But it's cool because then him getting into it, he picked up real fast. So it was good because he was like always a good dancer naturally. And, so we had our own little circle to practice together in each other's houses and stuff. And like that summer of '96, it was just like, it was more like towards the end, I think. And into '97, it was just like every week we were just trying to like practice or something. And then later on, we met like some pioneers and some OGs and some other kids from different boroughs that also were breaking. And then that's when we was like, "Yo, this is a thing." And we was like, stuck. And it was just like, we started traveling, and then it became like little journeys and quests, going to other people's little spots and meeting new people. And then you know, next thing you know, we're going to like the teen nights where they're, you know, it's like, say like a Friday night, like at a club, it'll be like from 10 to 1 or something like that. They'll let like teenagers go. You can't drink or nothing, but they'll play music and you dance, and sometimes little ciphers would break out. And we started going to things like that. And the one of the biggest, most famous ones was the Skate Key in the Bronx. And then later on, we started finding out that they were holding events there, and we started going to battles. And I mean, shit, the rest is history. So like mid 90s is when, like, you know, for me, it was like really got into it, into the culture and all that. I was already into MCing and graffiti big time. My brother was a big hip hop head growing up, but like as far as breaking, then, you know, it was another level. And then, you know, of course, like with that underground hip hop scene, started learning more about DJing and shit like that, like more like all the elements. But in the late 90s, that's how the events was. They weren't separated. If you go to a B-boy event, you're gonna see some dope DJs killing it. You're gonna see dudes ripping black books, and you're gonna see MC ciphers in the corner. That's just how the jams were, you know? Mm-hmm. So it was a real exciting time for us, you know, to find that next element for us to kind of try to shine, you know, right, through the dance, you know? Because before it was like you try to look fly, or, you know, you're known in the streets for writing, or you could rap, you know? But then finding breaking was like, oh, here's something else that not everybody's up on. You know, and of course you're trying to get busy and get props in school and impress the girls and stuff. So it was a good time for my teenage years. It was perfect time for me to find that word.
That's a beautiful story, man. That's why I like talking to people like in my age group, like you, or even older, is because our introduction to breaking is so different than a kid today's introduction to breaking. It's funny how you said you was watching, like you messed around with it at first, but just like on some kid stuff. But then when you start getting serious, you went to the Beach Street. You went to the and my story is very similar. I remember being a little kid, just doing knee spins in the kitchen, not even knowing. You just saw it somewhere. You don't even know where you saw it, and it was just like a fun thing to do. And then when I started taking, like, wanting to get more serious into it, I did the same thing, watching Beat Street, stealing off of, what was his name, Lil Lee or whatever. I was stealing all his stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like the little pop and move when they was in the party. That was my first joint that I stole. I was like, yep, that's me right there. You know what I'm saying? And then progressing into, like, you had to find somebody that was really into it. You had to find a person. You know what I'm saying? I never found the person. I've told this story before. What I did was, I went on the internet. Because I started after you, so I come in like 99, right? I went on the internet. You remember the internet in 99 is not the internet of 2020. You know what I'm saying? So I found like how to do the 6-step, and it was in words. So I printed the paper out. I went to the gym. I put the paper down. And it's like it said, get in a push-up position. I did that, and I just read through it and just did all the steps, as you know what I'm saying, like following the directions, you know what I'm saying? So that's a dope story. So when do we get from Jiggz watching Beat Street to Jiggz meeting the real B-boys and finding out that he's in that circle to Jiggz being Supreme Beingz? Like, how does that go?
Well, you know, that stuff happened real quick. You know, in the beginning, it was like, you know, seen it, then, you know, you try to learn as much about it as you can, try to soak all that up. And, you know, at the same time, we was meeting B-boys. Like I said, the first practice spot I went to was Ready to Rock's spot. So I saw B-boy Smirk, which was like, he's like, I think that was his crew, and it was his spot. So seeing dudes like that, and, you know, he was down with Rocksteady. And dude was nice with the power, the footwork, all that. So I had, like, from the beginning, I was already seeing like real B-boys. And then his crew, it was a bunch of dudes that was already nice too. I don't remember all their names, but I remember Wiz, A-Tone. I think there was a guy, Cleve. Might have been his crew. I don't remember exactly whose crew it was. But it's like I think they were like an 80s crew, and they like carried on the legacy. I'm not too sure about their history, but like I said, I was already seeing like good B-boys that knew like foundation, and I had heard that like Ken Swift had gone over there to teach and stuff like that, and that they had done a couple of events. Like we had just missed it. And then like I think that same winter kept going back. But the thing is that I wanted to learn how to pop. You see, for me, I thought breaking was like, I'm dead serious. When I was young, I would just like look at Michael Jackson and watch him glide and things like that. So I thought that was breaking, like boogie, you know, like electric boogie. Like that's what they used to say out here. Like, oh, you doing the electric boogie? Like if you're in a party dancing, like, you know, like late 80s, early 90s, people wasn't really busting like footwork windmills when they were dancing. You know, they were probably doing like some up tops and stuff, and later evolved to like what people would call New Jack Swing, you know, that kind of stuff. We were doing like a lot of Running Man, like Kid and Play type of shit, trying to mimic that. So, you know, I didn't know that breaking was like that hardcore. And we pulled up to the practice and Rocksteady Crew was there. And it's Mr. Wiggles, and at the time, Mauricio was down with them, and Smirk was there, and a couple other heads. I think Honey Rockwell and Wiggles' wife. So I'm mind blown because I'm like, oh shit, that's Mr. Wiggles, and I'm watching him pop, and that's what I wanted to learn, but I had no idea where to start, like no foundation. So I felt it was too difficult. And then I'm seeing Mauricio doing crazy shit, like breaking. This is like one of my first practices, and I'm seeing this wild shit, and I'm bugging. And then I see Mr. Wiggles throw down, and then I see him breaking. I see him do like some footwork, and then I was like, oh shit, I think I could do that, you know, because I was into sports, so I felt like I could like try to throw myself, but you know, all this technique and stuff, like I had no idea where to get started or what looked good or what was what. So, you know, I just felt like I was like, you see when you throw a baby in the circle and they start just doing things, like I just felt like I'm doing nonsense. So, but when I saw the breaking, I was like, yo, I think I could mess with that. And then from there on, it's just like I got, you know, I got like the fever to stay on the floor and try things on the floor. So I took to that, and it took me a while to kind of get like good with the footwork and all that. I kind of didn't understand which direction was the right direction to go. I just went with what felt comfortable. But yeah, like we didn't like form the crew till like later when I went, and in high school we had like a dance club, and then later on we started traveling. So our crew didn't really form till like about 99, a couple years later, after I met a whole bunch of other people from like a different neighborhood in Queens through school and like through hanging out in the parks and shit like that, and seeing other people who were getting into breaking at the same exact time. So, you know, our crew didn't form till way later. Then like around 2000, we was already like out here. We was pretty like known and shit. And I was also affiliated with Breaks Kru too, earlier at the time, you know, because we wasn't traveling that much. Like our crew wasn't traveling that much. And, you know, every time I was out of town, I would bump heads with Breaks Kru and then be like, yo, I'm a battle with these guys, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it wasn't like enter the contest. It was like whenever we went to a jam, we would battling in ciphers.
Representing New York.
Yeah, it was just like, that's just what we wanted to do. We didn't really care about signing up for the contest.
Right.
Where we had fun was in the ciphers and just trying to take over the cipher. You know, that was always our thing. Like, you know, so then I was like, you know, I just liked the way Breaks Kru used to just roll in the building and just take over. You know what I'm saying? So I started rolling with them, and then we just started like just going crazy everywhere we went. It didn't matter who it was, neither, even or if we lost the battle. Everybody knew that we was in the house. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Wait, so, didn't you do freestyle sessions with them?
Yeah. So it's like Step Fiends, Breaks Kru, and Supreme Beingz. Like we're like a fam. Like we always been like battling and traveling together. Cause we had Cyclone on that crew too in Freestyle Session. So yeah, man, good times with those dudes, and I got to get a lot of good experience through that. And then you know, some guys moved, you know, different parts, and then like, you know, a new generation of our crew came out, you know, and those guys like took our crew to another level too. And then like we recruited a bunch of young kids, and which are still killing it. Like you met Frankie.
Yeah, he was there with you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, he's still killing shit, still progressing. Now he's like into film and things like that. He got married, about to have a kid. And
Nice.
my other boy, Bananas, those are the first two that we had put down.
Mm-hmm.
And from there on, then a bunch of other dudes that were in their circle ended up getting down with us. Fast forward, like we've already like celebrated our 20th anniversary and still doing our thing, still in the game. You know, we got a couple of younger heads now that are down and, you know, carrying the torch and the legacy. So proud of that. Good to see those kids, well, young men and young women progressing. You know, they're already
no doubt
grown, doing their thing. So
when I look at Frankie, like he has a very like intricate style to me. He like I don't know if I would call it. I mean, he's from New York, but I don't know if that is a traditional New York style. Like how did remember when there was regional styles? Like you could tell where somebody was from by the way this, you know, pre-internet. You could tell where somebody was from just by the way they danced, right? And so how would you document the evolution of like when you came in the 90s, what would be New York style to like fast forwarding all the way to you got like people like a Frankie who kind of doing their own thing but still having a lot of foundation in it, but with their own spin on it. Like how would you document that?
well, I think it depends on the individual and you know what moves them or what they like or what works for them. Frankie in particular, I think that he uses like a lot of foundation because of his influences within where he came up. But when it comes to his own creativity, he's like he makes his things like complex. And what gives it a cool twist is that he's also like his style is kind of unorthodox. So some things he'll do with perfect form, and then other things he'll do with like a different form, which makes it like kind of his own style. So, like I said, like I don't know, like everybody has their own evolution, I believe, as dancers, you know, and a lot of it has to do with knowledge and probably experiences. Like I don't want to say wear and tear, but more like experiences, right? Like, okay, let me give you a different type of example, like with people you know, like Gravity. He has a background in gymnastics,
And
right?
you could see it.
So when he started breaking, he would lean to that stuff, right? He would use a lot of that stuff, you know, and you can tell, oh shit, this kid must have a background in something like this, right? A sport or whatever. But then as the years go by, now he doesn't need to depend on that. If you watch him dance now, he just does more of his own thing. He'll throw foundation, he'll throw power in there, but then you see him do his own thing.
You see
so
Gravity.
I think as a b-boy, you should grow. You know, you use what works for you, your strengths. If you don't have any of that stuff, I suggest start from scratch. Learn your basics, your foundation, because then you're gonna be stronger as a dancer, which later on is gonna benefit you. Because if you just spend all your time training power moves and difficult shit, you're gonna deal with injuries, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're like a person like me who's been doing it over 20 years, I'm not trying to train air flares every day. I'm not trying to do head spins all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like now I'll probably just try to freak it with my own flow, my own style and signature moves. So, you know, a lot of kids now, they get into it because they like the hard things, you know, and some of them could actually do it. They have the physical ability, you know. So, you know, with the big stages and the big lights and the big moves, it attracts those type of individuals. So I think with the eras, you have people who got into this dance for different reasons. Like they were just interested in different things. And it's all been bunched up and mixed up, and it's kind of evolved to what it's become now. But you still see characters that just lean, they just do power. You still see characters that just dance and do footwork. You know, so it's mixed up. You know, it just depends on what you like, and in the moment of the battles, you know, you just have to like pick. It's still subjective, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. And side note, I saw somewhere that Gravity actually gave you, and it was someone else. I didn't know the other person, but I knew your name. He gave you guys credit for putting it in his brain that he could probably one day be a dope b-boy. He said you guys saw him he was doing a gymnastics, either practice or competition, and you guys were in there training, and he said he was like looking back, like, what are they doing? What are they doing?
Yeah.
And you guys crossed paths, and you was like asking him about flares, and then, you know, how does that feel knowing that you and just, you know, spreading positivity, spreading the culture, not created Gravity, but brought him in, and look what he's been able to do within the dance.
I mean, it's amazing to see his growth and what he does, and the fact that he's doing something that, you know, I feel the same way about, like, you know, passionate about this dance. But yeah, like, just when we first seen him, it was just, it's exactly how he said, you know, that's exactly how it was. He was like training. We was at this facility where one of my crewmates, he would volunteer, and he would help train the kids so that he can practice and learn how to tumble. It was nearby where we're from. It was in Flushing. So we used to go so that we could learn, you know, a couple things and get to train, you know, get our flips up and stuff like that. And we seen this young man just flying, tumbling across the floor and just killing it. And we was like, yo, imagine this kid would break. We just told each other that, like, yo, imagine this kid right here would break. And then we went off to the wood, and there's a water fountain. So I guess we was practicing on the side. We were practicing on the side, and I guess he peeped it. And he came by to get some water, and then we was asking him questions. We was like, yo, would you like to learn? Yo, can you do this? Can you do that? We was like, yo, can you do flare 90 flare? And he was like, what, this? And he was like, yeah, it's like nothing for him because he was still young and super strong. And then I think like a year or two later, we just started seeing him around, like at practices, like in the Long Island City YMCA, and he's hanging around with his buddies, which was like 5 Crew. Mm-hmm. And we're like, yo, isn't that the kid? And he's like, and he remembered us too. And, you know, he still say the story. But yeah, we just seen him, and we was like, yo, imagine this kid would break. He would be nice like that. Right. And he kind of, you know, that's exactly what happened. But probably just him seeing it and getting that, it probably sparked an idea like, yo, maybe I should try this stuff. Because he was like trying to hide from his pops, like, nah, I need to get back to training. And we're like talking to him, like, just like, you know, because we're practicing those moves too. We're still trying to get shit like that. So, you know, we see the potential within like people like that. But yeah, like I was saying, that was a dope shout out. And he was talking about my boy Flav. My boy Flav was always in his ear, like, yo, you should do this breaking stuff, bro. Like, you'll be nice with it.
No doubt. So
yeah, but yo, hold up.
No, my bad. Go ahead.
All that was on him though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't taking no credit. You know what I'm saying? I was just there. I'm somebody he saw and has been around, you know, on his upcoming in New York. And big shout out to him, yo. It's good to see that. For sure. It's good to see somebody like start young and still stick to it and keep progressing high level.
So now in New York, are you considered an OG now?
I mean, kids say that, but I'm not an OG. I'm just an older guy. No doubt. That's what OG stands for now.
Old guy?
The older guards or what was the original gangster? People
right.
saying the older guards.
Right.
I'm just the older guy, I guess.
No doubt. So when you look back on these decades that you put into breaking, what are going to be some of the battles that you're going to be like, that you're going to tell the future generations? Like, you're going to be like, yo, this one was the one, this one was the one. You know, what are those encounters going to be?
Watch, like that they must see.
Yeah, or even that you feel, even if you don't feel it's a must see, but you like, to me, that was like the one.
Um, of course, the battle of the year with Battle Squad and Second to None.
No, I
The
mean ones that,
TBT.
wait, you were, no, I'm talking about ones you've been in.
Oh, that I've been in.
Yeah, when we
Oh,
talking about your
best
war stories.
memorable, like memorable battles for
Yeah.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch, man. It's like the really good ones are not documented, so I can't say, yo, look back at this. It's just like war stories,
Right.
you
It's
know.
like you had
But
to be there.
is that what you mean? Like the battles that they can take a look back at?
Yeah, and be like, yo, these are the ones that made me me, or that, got my name up, or, you know what I'm saying, or why you need to respect me, however you look at it.
Well, I think I didn't really stand out when I first started coming up too much because I was into like, Foundation, and I just looked like a New York dude, like a mix of Rocksteady and New York City Breakers, because that's pretty much what we had until like the 2000 when we got exposed to other young kids who've been dancing longer and were doing their own moves, and the creativity was like on a next level. Like we didn't get exposed to that. I didn't until like about 99, 2000. And then I started experimenting, so I didn't really stand out, I didn't start buzzing until like I started entering contests, and then I started facing off with people. And I think the most talked about memorable battle when people started like bringing my name up was when I battled Migas. It was this event called Bragging Rights, and it was like the top event in New York, but it was very underground because it was like at a MC battle, and in the basement it was like a real small space, and they used to do a b-boy battle every month, and it was like $500 prize. And at that time, come on, $500 for a dance battle was like hell yeah. So we was trying to go for it all the time. I answered like 4 or 5 times, and I didn't win. Like the first one, I answered the very first one, and I had lost the 3-way. It was like me, Technique, and K-Mel, and then I got eliminated, and then K-Mel beat Technique and won the very first one. So I didn't win until like the 6th one. I got to battle Migas, and I think that's one of the illest b-boys ever, Bboy Vengeance from Boogie Bratz. And it was an honor, but I think I caught him off guard because he was taking everybody lightly. Because, dudes in New York really wasn't ready for him like that. But he was taking everybody lightly, and it was kind of like getting on my nerves. And when I got to the finals, I was like, I'm going to just hit him hard. And he didn't expect that. He's looking at me like, what's up with this kid? But the battle was like last man standing, kind of, or until the judges say enough. It wasn't like 1-3 rounds and then they could do some bias shit. It was just like, let's see who's still hungry, who's still got moves, who's getting it. So I won that battle, and then people started like, I remember even hearing people at practices like, yo, who's this Jiggz kid? I heard he beat Leakers. Like, really?
And you're sitting right there?
Yeah. I was like walking in. I heard this girl, Miss Twist, saying that shit. She was asking somebody, who's this Jiggz? I heard he beat Migas. This Migas is big shit at the time,
Right.
And that's kind of like where the beef started with K-Mel.
Uh-oh.
So obviously, I know you want to get to that. That's like probably the main battle.
All right. So, Jiggz, the truth of the matter is I heard of you before I ever met you, man. And the first time I heard of you was what you're starting to allude to, the K-Mel Jiggz. I don't know if it was a beef or just a misunderstanding, but it was a series. It was like part 1, 2, 3, 4, and I was like, dang, this kid's going off. So before you get into the actual battle itself, where does it stem from? Like, what was the beef, or I like to call it a disagreement, because it ain't like you guys was about to like really. It wasn't a real beef. You know what I'm saying?
I think this stems from like things like that, like the past. What I had mentioned about battling Migas, which is his crewmate, things like that. Like, once you start getting better, you're going to start facing off with the better guys, right? And those guys were mostly dudes he rocks with, you know what I'm saying? So we would be going at it with like floor lords a lot, you know? And I think it was a misunderstanding with the way the whole thing started. But obviously, if I'm battling his boys, he's gonna side with them,
right?
You know, and it's gonna, you know, eventually it's gonna become a tension there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's gonna be tension. But since that first day, like that's the first time he called me out, and like me and K have been cool ever since we met. When he first seen me, he introduced himself, and he was like, "Yo, you dope," and I was just like, "Oh shit!" Like this is that dude K-Mel, and he's like showing me love. So I was like, you know, K-Mel was like our generation, but he was like the dude that we were rooting for. You know what I'm saying? Like we was always like we looked up to K-Mel, basically, all of us. You know, like we always had his back when he battled like the OGs like Kenny and Storm. Like in our minds, we was like, yeah, K took him out. You know, if you look at the battles now, it looks a little different. But in our minds, we was like, that's our guy. Yes, he's the man. So I took that shit like, damn, man, why is he like coming for me? But then I was like, oh, it's all good. I just beat his boy, and they mad they're not going home with the money. So he called me out at the event, and I was finished. I just finished battling. So then my man Cyclone jumped in the Cypher. They went a little exchange, whatever. It wasn't serious. But then fast forward a couple years, maybe like a year or two, we had a little, actually, we had a couple run-ins in between that.
Okay.
We had a couple run-ins because I remember there was that, and then I think that same year at the Rocksteady anniversary, Megas tried to come for me in the Cyphers, and I also battled his boy Flearock, brought it to me in the Cyphers, and it was just like always this tension between them, right? Then we seen them again at the Flearock battle, and they had like this super crew. I was in another group, and we had faced off, we had battled. They smoked us, they killed us. But then K-Mel put out a video, his solo video. And then there's a part where you see Legacy does like a cork, a flip, and then he throws a dick in my face. And I'm like, why the fuck is he? I was like, all right, cool, whatever. I'll take the L. I'll hold that L. But I'm taking notes, and I see this. I'm like, what the fuck? All right, cool, whatever. It don't matter. When I see them, I'll see them. You know? So then fast forward, now we're at Alpha Fame, New York City. So for us, it's like, all right, this is an opportunity. Right now, at that time, I'm rocking with New York Kings. That's another story as to why that crew was formed. But it was just like, you know, dudes who were making moves, battling, coming together to rep New York. Anyways, we have our little squad. We got a couple of our young heads. So, you know, we're not at full blast. But we make the finals. We battle Floor Lords. They were messing up.
Is he judging at this point? Like, is he a judge or is he just a spectator?
Yeah, he's a judge at this event, right?
Okay.
So we're battling his boys, and you know, every time I go in, he goes crazy for me. Every time his boys go in, he's going crazy for them, and it just looked a little weird. Like, you know, he's just being biased.
Right.
But whatever, you know, that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we felt like we won that battle. Then they give these guys a tiebreaker. They clearly messed up their routines. They crashed. We was on point. We did what we had to do. And for us, it was like an insult because this is an opportunity for us. If we won that battle, we get to go compete in the West Coast.
Right.
We get to do Alpha Fame out in the West Coast, wherever it was. I don't know if it was Seattle or what. But, you know, we was upset. We was like, damn, bro, like, you know, y'all being biased. So they give them the tiebreaker. Boom, then they win. So they win the whole shit. So I was tight. There was a miscommunication with the judges because we didn't know who it was that voted for who, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I jumped the gun. I just went to the stage. I ran up to the stage, and I went up to K-Mel, and I was like, yo, that's whack. Boom, and I threw the dick. And then he jumped out of his seat, and he was tight. He started screaming at me. He was fucking cursing at me. I was like, oh, shit, I fucked up. I'm looking up at the stage like, damn. So he jumps off the stage, and then everybody is like, oh, they open up a big circle, whatever. I'm feeling like I'm finished because I had a real good day at that battle, bro. I was hitting all my shit. And I was just like, I didn't know what to do. And I'm thinking, I seen K-Mel take people's soul in the Cypher. I seen him murder people. So I'm like, shit, here we go. So he comes in, and I guess him sitting down all day, he wasn't warm, but I was already warm. So we did our little battle, and, you know, he didn't do his best. And my boys was hyped for me. They was holding me down. And he walks out the Cypher. So for me, I'm like, bro, if you walking out the Cypher, that's saying something.
Right, I won, right?
I just felt like that. I look at the footage now, I'm like, I was like sloppy. I think he got that battle anyway. But I was like, all right, whatever. I brushed it off. And then I didn't think nothing of it, but he was like, yo, I'm gonna see you again. And then that's pretty much where that whole thing started right there. But it was a misunderstanding, because then when we spoke after, he told me, he was like, yo, they voted majority for them, for Floor Lords, but I don't know if they entered as Floor Lord or Flavor Squad. Same crew, whatever, at the time. But he's like, they voted majority for them, but I told them, nah, it's not fair. These guys did good. Let's give them a tiebreaker. So we were going to get handed the loss from the jump, which I thought would have been bullshit anyway. But he's like, yo, I actually stood up for y'all, so that y'all got another opportunity. I don't know. That's what I heard. I don't know. Alien Ness was like, oh, I voted for y'all, whatever. I was like, yo, I don't know.
Right, it's funny. All these judgments come back, but when you talk to them, everybody voted for y'all. I don't know what happened. We voted for y'all.
That was so long ago too. Like, you know, I'm not gonna even try to hold anybody accountable. At the time, I was upset, and that's why I acted the way I did. And you know, I felt bad about it later. Like, damn, I shouldn't have handled it like that. Mm-hmm. Now that I'm older, like if I would see a youngster, I've seen youngsters do that, and I'm like, damn, it's like kind of tasteless. You know, but at the time, that's just how we handle shit. We call each other out. You know what I'm saying? And K-Mel was known for that shit. If he felt somebody played him at the event, he would run up on the judges and call them out. That's how he battled Storm and whoever else. You know what I'm saying? He would do that. So I just felt at the moment that's how I had to handle it. And I didn't know it was going to turn into like a series of battles. But, I mean, the rest is all documented. Like, he pulled up to my practice spot like 2 more times after that. And then we also seen each other at a contest, which is not documented. None of that is like uploaded. But that one was crazy. It was a crazy scene. If you've seen the battles, like you see all the shit talking, it looks a little intense. It looks like a one-on-one basketball game.
It does. It does. So who won the series, if you had, in your opinion? Who won the war?
Well, in my opinion, I think K-Mel's a better dancer. So, you know, looking back at it, I think he won. But I was actually always like impressed. Not impressed, but like kind of like, shit, not bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I stood my ground. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I was going to lean. Right, I was gonna lean towards y'all both won. If you feel he won the breaking part, but because what you got from it, I mean, I'm just listening to your story, and I'm like, yo, you got to get in however it happened. You got to go up against Migos and test your skills, Flearock and test your skills, goddamn K-Mel and test your skills. Like, that's a hell of a lineup of people. Even if they coming after you, to have to defend yourself and get your weight up against. You know what I'm saying? After you get your weight up against people like that, it seems like everything else becomes a little less scary. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I've already seen these dudes.
Yeah, that definitely brought my confidence level up. You know, from the first time, I didn't even think I was gonna do that good. So then when he would come for me, I'll be like, let's go, what's up? Let's dance. You know what I'm saying? So like I just kept getting better and better, you know. So there's things, you know, like I said, overall, I think he's a better dancer. So I would say he won if I was to judge the whole thing now. But like there's moments where like I was winning, you know what I'm saying? Where I had him against the ropes. You know, there's certain elements that also, if you break it down, that people don't really know. You're just looking at the video, but if you notice, it's chopped, it's edited. So when we're battling, he'll come at me full force 2 rounds, and then I'll start getting at him, and he'll fall back, catch his breath, and I'll be like, so if you notice, sometimes I go out more than him. I'll go back out and be like, but where you at? You know what I'm saying? And then he'll come back out. He'll be like, oh, you did that move yesterday. I'm like, that's another battle, homie.
Right.
Like, that's my arsenal. I could throw my shit again tomorrow if I battle you tomorrow. But he's a freestyler, so he sees it differently, you know? But I was like, you repeating too, bro. You did, like, front flip 100 times on me. You know what I'm saying? That shit. How many times you gonna do a front gainer, bro? I know that's your signature, but, like, you know, I could play that game too. But it's all good. You know, they like I said, it was edited. If you look at it, like, there was times where I just had him up against the fence and it was like, what's up? Where you at? You know, but people don't know because the footage would have been mad long, the battle, because he brought his boys. So he would have his boys go in so he could catch his breath and think what to do next. I was ready. I was like, come on, let's go back to back. You know, so that's why I feel like when it came to battling, I'm a better battler. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have more attack moves, but he's a better dancer, so I feel he won on that note. But as far as, like, you know, it's like when you win by decision, but the guy who lost came out clean and you came out all
messed
you know
up. yeah, scarred.
All messed up. Yeah. For real, because if anything got, like, it was still a win for me no matter what. Even if I lost the battle, people still respected me and was like, yo, this dude is no joke. You know what I'm saying? And
it made me think of that Prodigy line. My bad. I said it made me think of that Prodigy line. I'm going out blasting, taking all of my enemies with me, and if not, they scarred, so they will never forgive me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it was just always just having that mentality of, like, yo, I gotta defend myself, and I can't go out like no bitch. You know, it's just the way we was raised. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother, when I was a little kid, was like, yo, if somebody hits you, you hit them back. God damn it.
No doubt.
You know what I'm talking about? So
yeah.
That's just how it was. And, you know, like I said, I've seen a lot of people just crumble under that type of pressure.
Right.
And so I was always just, like, confident about that. Like, I'm not going to let anybody just walk all over me like that, you know?
No doubt. So
but I think that's the most memorable one that people have seen, but it's not my best battles. I've had, like, some other really good battles with other dope B-boys.
Oh, yeah? Well, tell us.
A lot of them have been in contests. I got to face off with a lot of dope heads, like some in one-on-ones and some in, like, crew battles. But, like, as far as, like, a real ill personal battle where it was, like, on site every time we seen each other for, like, a couple years was with Abstract from Skill Methods.
Oh, damn. Another dope person to test your skills against.
Dude, like, and that dude, like, I learned a lot from battling him. And I think that's the reason why when I had to face K, I was seasoned. You know what I'm saying? Because I already had to battle this man plenty of times, and, like, you know, and it's like this dude will freestyle all night and go back to back, like, you know, crazy energy, and, you know, dude had mad moves. So it was like battling him, you had to push. So I just felt like I said, that shit just got me seasoned, and I didn't realize it until I thought about it afterwards. Like, yo, that battle with K-Mel probably it's not even my best battle. I think my best battles was with Abstract. And then I was like, oh shit, that's probably why I was already seasoned. I didn't know I would be ready for K-Mel. But yeah, shout out to Abstract. I don't even remember how many times we battled, but we would see each other and, you know, we'll go for mad rounds and we'll talk mad shit and, you know, just leave it like that. And I think for me, it was, I would be like, sometimes I would be like hard on myself because I seen him in a contest like a couple times, but he would always beat me in the contest. So I would just be like, nah, I'm gonna catch him in the circle. Fuck that. No you doubt. Know, so every time we seen each other, it was like, what's up? Be like, what's up? So let's go. So we have like crazy respect and love for each other because of that. So shout out to Abstract. Cool.
And he's from Florida, right?
Yeah, I think he's from Tampa, but he's from Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay. Like that's what, like as far as birth certificate and all that stuff, no doubt.
Yeah, so I think he might have started breaking out there too.
Oh, what's the Supreme Beingz New York Florida connect? Because there's Supreme Beingz in Florida, aren't there? Or at
Yeah,
least
like our
was.
crew. Well, a bunch of dudes from our crew had moved from New York, so that's part of it. And then, you know, eventually dudes started getting recruited, and other people got down. So like more of like the younger heads and the dudes that are actively competing are the guys who are residing down there. Because Omen's from Massachusetts. He's born in the Bronx, but he's from Mass. That's where he grew up and started breaking. And then he moved to Florida and became real tight friends with Phantom from Miami. And eventually he got put down, and a couple other heads got put down. My boy Arson, who's one of the founders of Supreme Beingz, had moved to Tampa some time back, and his cousin is down with our crew, who's from Tampa. So it's like we're like spread out. There's a couple cities like Orlando, Tampa, Miami. So it ended up becoming like a bunch of heads down there. We put Jolty down, Spindy in, Vex, a couple other heads too. Like, you know, we were looking at, and a lot of heads want to get down, but we're like, you know, chill. We're just trying to keep it fam right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt.
But yeah, it's definitely been growing, and I'm not mad at it. I always wanted to expand before, and some crew members didn't like the idea. I don't know if they felt like it might take away from them and their opportunities, but it created tension like it would with any family. And, you know, it kind of, some people spread apart. They're not as tight. Some people don't dance as much. But, yeah, if those guys were more active, so, you know, started putting the focus more on them and their growth and stuff. So, yeah, you got dudes like Omen mentoring some of the younger heads and shit. So that's what's up, man.
So like when I hear about your battle stories and you know the way they went down, and you're looking at 2024 when breaking is going to be one of the it's not in the Olympics, but basically it's having an Olympic tryout, right?
Yeah.
And then they're going to make the decision later. Do you think that the current format of breaking and what the essence of breaking is fits into an Olympic format? And what I'm getting at is like the burns, right? You even mentioned it a couple times, like, you know, with throwing the dick and the fuck yous. Me, I'm more of a like I'm always got a gun and a handgun in somebody's face and all that stuff. Like, you think that's gonna fit into national TV, country versus country with the world watching? Or do you think that some things are going to have to get stripped?
I think that can be dangerous, and it could be, some things can be taken wrong, and I think certain things can be very disrespectful when it comes to this dance, certain gestures. So I'm pretty sure that those kind of things, there might be a limit to how far you can take it, and, you know, you might get penalized for things like that. And does it take away a little bit from the culture? Yes, I think so. Another concern of mine is like music wise, how are we gonna do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of the culture comes from certain records that were played that gave us a certain feeling. You know, like, are we taking some of that away? Yes. I mean, I think it's just basically a stage for people to showcase their physical feats, kind of, you know, like, because it's they're gonna have to try to make it as objective as possible. And then when you do that, you kind of like limiting certain things or requiring other things, you know, where not every dancer got air flares. Doesn't mean he can't smoke the shit out of you, right? So it's like, I don't know. It depends on what they're looking at. For me, if they were separated, maybe, but I don't know. It's just so weird. Like, I haven't really seen or studied any other dances that are like judged like in such a big scale. Like, maybe ballroom, they'll do these huge events, right? And then they're judged, like, but I don't know how much of that is based on musicality or, you know, nuances and character, right? Like,
And
which are important
technicality,
things in breaking, right?
Right.
Because if not, then we're all going to be these soldiers, you know, and it's going to look amazing when it comes to the power and all that. But then it's like, you know, where's the character? Where's the flavor? And that's, for some people, that's what they're attracted to. Some people are not attracted to the dance. They want to flip. They want to fly, you know? So for those people, it's a good thing. It's lovely, you know what I'm saying? It's basically a big power move battle.
Right.
Think about it. That's the only way I could see it being like really official in the Olympics, is like if it's power moves.
And and I just don't know. I don't know if the Olympic platform is going to give more than it takes. Okay, so I win the Olympics. Now what?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because I saw somewhere that I can't remember if his name is Bumblebee or something like that. He won some junior Olympics, and I'm like, well, what is that? You have to have an industry. Like, for instance, if because they're also considered like what, amateurs or whatever if you're in the Olympics, right? So then you're supposed to get sponsorships and so on and so forth. If I'm a track athlete, then I win the Olympics. That means something. Now there's going to be something after that. If I win in breaking, I don't know if there's going to be anything after that, or if we're just entertaining the world. And I don't know. Do you think that they're actually going to take it into the Olympics permanently? I don't see it. I personally, I don't see it, because the version, to allude to your point, the version that it's going to be is going to be so close to gymnastics that they're going to be like, well, why do we need this? We already have gymnastics, and it's way more established in the Olympic format.
Oh, that's a good point. That is a very good point. I don't know. I think maybe the fact that the IOC?
Yeah.
The IOC, so. Like they're looking to add new things, because kids are not really interested in things like that nowadays. Like in the 80s, the Olympics was the Olympics, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like nowadays, they're trying to lure in a new crowd, like, you know, and get young people's interest involved. So they're trying to like include these new activities and these new type of competitions. So I think that's the reason why they looked at breaking like that, because it's kind of popular. It's become part of pop culture now. You know?
Sure.
You look in the background, you see dudes doing air flares next to the big fireballs and shit. You know what I'm saying? Or head spins.
Right.
The big moves, you know. But I don't know. I guess that's why they're doing the trial runs. But for the youth, I think it's cool. It's something that maybe excites them and gives them a like an aim, like an objective, something to like work on or strive for. But I mean, time can only tell. Like, people were saying it since the 80s, like, yo, breaking should be in the Olympics, and some people were like, hell no. And that's kind of the same story today. Like, a lot of people were for it, and some people were like, nah, there's no place for it. So I guess we just gotta see. I think that the trial in Argentina 2018 went well. You know, this year was supposed to be in Japan, right? But there was a setback, so they're doing it next year.
Well, the Olympics were supposed to be in Japan. I thought the trial was in France 2024.
No, that's actually the real Olympics.
Oh, okay. Oh,
so that's when they were gonna they have hopes to debut it. 2024 as an official Olympic game.
Olympic category. Yeah, no doubt. Okay, cool. So they were doing the trial. They were supposed to do the trial in Tokyo this year to debut it France 2024. Whoa, I don't know.
Yeah, so plan is 2021. They're still on in Japan. So
okay,
you know, if that goes well, which it probably will, because you know, in Japan they have experience. Like in Asian countries, they have a lot of experience of doing those huge productions for b-boy events. So, and France as well. So I think it's the perfect settings and regions for it to get that buzz up, you know, and especially France. France is the reason why I think it even got in the mix. It was voted in over in France.
Mm.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
then, do we get cut out? Does the USA get cut out of
Ooh.
the history?
Nah, I don't think it can ever get cut out of the history, but some people will, switch up narratives. And as far as cut out, since breaking is not like a real popular event in the Olympics, there can only be but so many competitors from so many countries. US is involved in so many big time sports in the Olympics that they're not going to push for our Olympic athletes to compete. There's not going to be enough space. And that was the case actually in 2018, where one of the B girls, I think her name is B girl Connie from North Carolina, qualified, but she wasn't able to compete for some reason, some technicality like that. Like there's too many Americans involved in too many categories, so we need to like randomize it, something like that.
Right, the height of BS. There's too many
Yeah, so
Americans,
it's
so
just
you.
crazy, like how we're introducing a thing that was created in America, but America is not allowed to compete. Like,
Yeah, see, and that's what I'm kind of leaning towards. When let's say it happens in France, then now all of a sudden France is the country that put breaking on. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like, yeah, well, it didn't come from France, but France put it on though. You know what I'm saying? So it can get a little murky potentially, but I hope for the best. But as far as you, man, you got some big projects you've worked on over the years. You were a part of that show, The Get Down. How did you get casted for that? What was that experience like?
well, it's funny. I didn't really get casted. I got put on because I actually missed the audition for some stupid reason. Personal reasons. I don't know. It's just I ended up missing out, and I didn't really take it too serious at the moment, I think. And then things started moving, and I seen a lot of my people's working. So then I reached out to one of my boys that was working. He was actually like a choreographer. So my boy Samuel had got the gig as choreographer, and he was also training some of the dancers. So he was teaching Shamik Moore how to break for the role of Shaolin Fantastic. So I had reached out to him, and I was like, look, I know y'all need some more brown brothers, you know what I'm saying? Let me know if you need some Latin Inferno lover, whatever. He hit me up one day like, yo, are you available for this? And I was like, yeah, I guess they needed some new faces because they kept like reusing some of the same B-boys. So they wanted to switch it up. And I worked on it. One day, it was like a couple of us, like 3 B-boys. And it was like a small scene. It was nothing like where you see a lot of dancing, but we still got put on as principals.
Oh,
And
okay.
that was cool. So then later on, got called back to work on some different episodes that had bigger dance scenes. And that's when it got really fun, because then I got to work with a bunch of friends on set and, started learning more. Eventually they hit me up like, yo, you got to join the union, or, we can't hire you no more because then the producers will get fined.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, because the thing is that I guess they can't exhaust that, like having non-union workers, because it's like taking advantage, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like once you're in the union, like you get paid more and they take care of you and all that shit. So I was like, I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. So ended up joining the union, the actors union, and kept working on it. And it was a good time. It was fun. It was a good experience. It was something that I've been wanting to do and pursue. I just didn't really know how to get my foot in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a good time. So shout out to Samo for putting me on and getting me on as one of the principal dancers and shit. So it was on a few episodes. It's cool. Like,
Are you actively pursuing roles now in acting or nah?
yeah, I was actually pursuing acting but then the COVID shit kind of like slowed everything down. So the industry has changed a little bit. So given that time, a little bit of time to adjust, and then probably get back to that soon. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it was doing it 2006 since 2016.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Was when we did that project. So that was a good experience, man. Like, got to meet like a lot of dope people, some dope actors and writers and shit. Grandmaster Flash, chilling with Nas on the release party. You know, that's like
nice.
a fucking dream and shit. So yeah, man, like the hip hop journey has taken me to some places I didn't think I would ever be, or around people, work with people that I look up to. So very grateful for that.
Little side note, it's funny that you mentioned being at the party with Nas, because in my mind it brought something full circle. I remember when you guys came out to Arizona for the NBL National Championship, and I asked you, what did you want your intro song to be? Do you mind New York State of Mind? And you was like, hell yeah. And then fast forward all these years, you with Mr. New York State of Mind chilling at the release party or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, for sure.
So you said Lollapalooza. So you were involved with Lollapalooza Rock the Bells. That was for 2020, correct?
Yeah, just recently we were featured on a small segment for Rock the Bells at the Lollapalooza virtual concert. Yeah,
how did that come about?
Crazy Legs had reached out to me, asked me if I was available and if I knew anybody else who was down to do something for it. And I thought, I was under the impression that they were gonna like put us in a studio and film something, and you know, we'll put together something nice. But again, due to COVID, things changed. So they asked us to submit like self-tape. So you know, you're challenged with doing this like real quick, deliver like, yo, by tomorrow, here's the deadline. And then it's like, it's not like before we had access to practice spots and all this, and you know, you got to have somebody there to help you film the shit. So, you know, we did something real quick wherever we had space. I did mine outdoor, so I just did a little something. And then we submitted the videos, and they edited something, you know. Like,
they did what they do.
You know how that is. Like when it comes to like breaking, and then like say MTV edits some shit, you're like, damn, bro, you got me facing the wrong way. You missed my signature move. Like,
right.
I remember hitting them 90s, and then you put that whack clip of those 90s. Like, I was looking at it like, it's okay. It's dope because it was like a conversation like this, like a Zoom between Crazy Legs and LL Cool J. And then they go back and forth, watch the clip, and then interact and talk about it. So it was dope to see like two dudes I grew up looking up to, like, you know, speaking about us dancing and, you know, giving us props and showing us love. It's just like, damn, like, you know, for some people it's not a big deal, but I'm like, damn, like, you know, I've come this far to have like LL Cool J watch me dance and be like, yo, that's impressive. Like, I appreciate their passion.
No
so it's
doubt.
like little things like that. It's not a big deal, but for me, it's like, damn, like it's recognition, and I'm like, that's cool. I'm still here, and you know, I'm still getting love for it.
Yo, let's go beyond the Cypher a little bit for a second. So it's funny that you mentioned Crazy Legs, and you know, he's definitely an OG, right? I'm gonna go ahead and stamp you with the OG, even though you don't want it.
Yeah, I'm an older guy.
So, you know, you hear about, so what happens to all the New York OGs? Because I know it's more than just the 4 or 5 that more people know about, but then you hear stories about people succumbing to the demons of humanity, you know what I'm saying? Like, so drugs, prison, people be getting killed, people getting depressed, you know what I'm saying? So on and so forth like that. What's going on, man? Why, where are they? What's going on with these OGs to where this is happening to them?
I mean, I don't know, man. A lot of them are like doing their own thing. You know, some dudes try to come and resurface. Man, I sometimes I be thinking about it, and I wonder, and I'm like, you know, it has to have something to do with when and where this all comes from, how it started. right? So obviously it comes from the hood. It comes from, you know, a lot of poor people, people that come from broken homes, broken families, you know, people that have been traumatized, people trying to find a getaway or a new outlet. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these people who were super talented, they were probably going through some shit as kids, you know, or they probably had a real rough upbringing, things that we don't think about back then. But now it's like, you know, people have PTSD and trauma and have been abused, and, you know, all that's inside, and later on it affects you and then it shows, you know? So I think that a lot of the people that are not doing well, it has something to do with that. And like you said, some people succumb to drugs, some people end up in prison, and it's because of that, you know. Like, I think there's some people that come from good families, and there's also people who wanted to get out the hood and worked real hard and studied, and then they even left breaking. You know what I'm saying? So I think the OGs who are doing good kind of just like left it behind them, like, yo, this was me back then, but now, you know, it's time to grow up. Right. You know, not everybody stuck around and stayed involved in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very few crazy legs. You know what I'm saying? One. Yeah, who can walk in a room and, you know, celebrities and rappers and athletes know who it is. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's very few of those, you know, that stuck around and got that, you know, those props and that love. So, you know, a lot of the other dudes are bitter. They're like, yo, I ain't getting no love out here. You know?
I talk crazy legs. How I'm not getting, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, no, I feel you.
And then they'll be like, fuck crazy legs. And I'm like, why? Because he's doing good. Like, he was blessed. That's his journey. You know what I'm saying? Like, but, you know, a lot of things like that. You know, some people are bitter. They didn't get their due. Some people, like I said, some people are trying to just resurface now. Like, yeah, I was in Beat Street, and like, all right, but where was you the past 30 years or the past 20 years that we needed you, and we could have used your mentorship, or you could have taught us, and we could have been a little ahead in the game. You know, don't come out here now trying to claim shit. So we see all these funny type of characters, a lot of people who have messed up backgrounds. And then, like I said, the people who are good and successful, like, they've moved on. A lot of them have moved on because there wasn't really a career opportunity, you know, as there is now. Now it's possible, you know, but even with that, like, you got to be business savvy and all that. You can't just come out here and say, I'm Jiggz, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna make it happen out here. Like, nah, I got to put in the work too if I want to be successful and be like, yeah, I'm still 100% about this breaking life. Like, let's be realistic and let's start teaching the youth that, yo, this is something that you got right now, and it's a blessing. Take advantage, live it up, but don't forget that you have to water other seeds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, I totally agree with you. It's funny that you mentioned that, because when I came back into breaking in 18, I had to humble myself. People that I used to give guidance to, I had to come to them and kind of get reintroduced. Like, what's going on now? I didn't want to come in like, because, you know, there was a point in time when Arizona was NBL, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had the most events, we had the biggest events, so on and so forth. But, you know, with me and Johnny working on it. But then when I come back, I remember the first competition I did, it was the Outcrowd anniversary in 2019. And this dude comes up to me and he's like, yeah, man, it's always good to see new people in the scene and see new energy. And I looked at him, and it was me and House was talking. You know House from Freestyle Crew? Me and House are having a conversation, and he walks up and says that. And then when he walks away, me and him just look at each other and laugh, because I'm not new, but I'm a resurgent, right? So, yeah, it's really interesting. And I think, to allude to what you're saying too, is that when people do resurge, they do have to humble themselves. You have to come in not necessarily as a new person, but you can't claim whatever your status was. I can't be like, yo, I had the baddest jam and da-da-da-da, and it's like nobody cares, because jam is not here no more. That jam is not helping us today. You know what I'm saying? So I 100% feel you. So by the time this comes out, you will have participated in another panel, the battle cry, and the tagline is "It's all love or is it?" Right? Something to that effect. And they're talking about I don't know for sure because it hasn't happened yet, but it sounds like we're gonna get into this black and brown ordeal that we have, not just in politics, but not just in hip hop, but in politics. It seems across the board. So, in your opinion, would you say that it's black and brown, like black and brown, or do you see it more as like from your experiences and even past your experiences, right? Like just looking at the national scene and the history of the groups. Do you think it's like black people over here and then brown people over here, and sometimes we interact, but as far as any like deep connection where where you got a capital AND for the and, that's not really happening? How do you feel about that?
Well, this conversation comes up because it's sometimes it's difficult to explain because the way we were raised in New York is a little bit different from the rest of the United States. So like for us, we grew up more integrated. So in New York, I think we could say black and brown, is more like this. But like say in California or in Chicago, which is not too far from New York, you have your areas where you have black gangs and like Latino gangs, and they're really going at it, and it's territorial. Whereas where we grew up, it was more, we all lived together in the same houses and same buildings. So it's hard for other people to understand how for us, it's just different. You know what I mean? It's more mixed here. So I can understand how it's different, say in LA or some shit where, it is, blacks here, brown here, you know what I'm saying? Asians here, a little more separated in different places. But in New York, since childhood, like we just grew up like that. That's just how we were raised. I guess it's the thing about big cities, it's the thing, but like, I don't know. It's just we're in a unique place, I guess, in New York. Probably the reason why it birthed so much things, because there's so much diversity. It's a melting pot. So, yeah, you've been out here, right?
Yeah. Matter of fact, yeah, I think I think the first time I met you was out there. To be
Yeah,
honest, because I remember when you came to Arizona, that wasn't the first time I had seen you.
Now I think you had came to our practice spot. You had like some sneaker bags. You were like shopping.
Yes. Yeah. I remember that. I think I was yeah, I remember that. And I think I was up there for Rocksteady anniversary, and when we was doing the Illskillz magazine back then.
Yeah, I remember you had your cap like this, flipped up.
Yeah, that used to be my joint. I'm
Looking
fedoraed
like
out now.
looking like the Fresh Prince and shit.
Right? Yeah, man. But yeah, so what I was gonna say next is, do you think that? Go ahead. Back to your point. No. You were talking. Go ahead.
But I don't think that the panel is about that. I think we're definitely gonna get into that. But the panel is more about like I think it's more like how we like kind of like take advantage, disrespect, and take things for granted and kind of violate each other. So it's kind of like airing out some form of abuse that we go through and that we take and that we don't talk about, as men, like men
Right.
up, suck that shit up. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? I
Walk
think
it
that's
off.
what the conversation is more about. And, with the battling shit, how not everybody is like, I'm not gonna say built for it, but not everybody is into it. You know what I'm saying? Like this, you could wall out and take somebody's hat and throw it and he'll laugh. But there's certain individuals that if you even do a gesture, they're gonna punch you in the face, right? So every individual is different. And then it's also like, maybe I'm not here for that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm just here to express myself. I'm not here to, deal with confrontation because I don't deal with it well. Then we might have to fight or some shit, you know? So I think that is more based on that, like the different aspects of battling and how people take it and how it can be traumatizing or how it can be triggering, you know. That's what I'm taking. That's what I'm taking from it. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes, obviously, sometimes there's that animosity between people. So obviously those conversations will come up where it's like, yo, you know, y'all bugging out, y'all over here wilding out, like you saying this and that, like, you know, you being disrespectful. So, I mean, it's all, I guess, to air things out, put it out there, and make people like feel, I guess, more comfortable with speaking up, you know, and not holding it in, or maybe setting boundaries. Like, bro, I don't do that. You know, I don't rock like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's that's what I think. You know?
Right, and it makes total sense because as the dance expands, it starts. I mean, everybody that breaks ain't some kid from the hood no more.
And we're men now, right?
Right. Everybody that breaks ain't
and women
under 18. Yeah, and everybody that breaks ain't a dude. And you know what I'm saying? So it's like
that's another thing too. Like some dudes be violating women, and that's not cool neither. We can't stand by and let it happen neither. You know, because then you letting it happen. You facilitating.
But Jiggz, man, I'm gonna have to be 100% honest with everybody. I'm not giving up my handgun, man. I'm not, man. I'm coming. I don't. I got to do it, man. And I ain't gonna front, man. Exactly. I got a whole When I do it, I go into the situation knowing that there could be a consequence. That's my advice to anybody who has an aggressive style. Just go in knowing that there could be a consequence, and you know, and don't get mad if you run into that consequence because you knew it could happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
No doubt. Kind of talking about what we were talking about as far as that the black and brown thing. Do you think Latinos get the respect they deserve in hip hop?
Yeah, I think they do. But yeah, there's been like conversations in the breaking scene about, you know, certain people being guests in hip hop, and you know, people were questioning if Latinos are guests in hip hop. And some people were saying yes, some people were arguing no. And you know, if anything, it just brought like unnecessary tension in the air, where, you know, instead of people looking at each other's similarities and struggles and creativity and contributions, you know, they're like just trying to separate things and claim things, or you know, say that people are creating a narrative to kind of take away from others, which I mean, to me is just like, I think that time tells a story, you know, and if you really want to look into it, like, do your history, look at the demographics, you know, let's talk about where, you know, if y'all want to say break it started here or there, look at who were the people around, you know, who was the contributors. It's the story's there, you know what I'm saying? I don't think that there's any going around it. But yeah, I think it all goes back to like some people not wanting to feel left out, Latinos in particular, not wanting to be left out from being the founders of hip hop. But I never seen it like, I always looked at it like hip hop is Black culture, you know. I never seen it any different, you know. So I always felt like, yeah, we're down too, you know. It was, but I would never like try to say, yeah, Latinos started this. This is ours. Like, no, I don't believe that. You know, look at the major heads like that people talk about, you know. Herc, Flash, Bambaataa, you know, even like with the B-Boys, Legendary Twins, you know, now learning about other B-Boys from Herc's parties, you know, and they had their contributions, and whether they were in the game or they weren't in the game for too long, you still gotta acknowledge them, you know. And it's cool because, you know, something has to start somewhere, and you can't switch it up. But there's like it's interesting because there's also like a lot of things like involved like semantics, and then people like from this side of the neighborhood and that side of the neighborhood, and stories being told. And remember, this is like over 40 years ago too.
Right.
Sometimes I have trouble remembering something that happened last summer.
Right.
So things switch up,
No doubt.
But as far as like Latinos in hip hop, like always been a part of it, always been involved and been contributors and brought certain type of flavor to the table. And like I always say, like I think we're all guests, and thank you for having me, you know what I'm saying? Then I get a chance to step in and do my thing and, contribute, bring something to the table, like I said. So it's a thing that now it's universal. There's no doubt about it. Like you can't tell anybody now, oh, you're a guest. Like I think we're all guests in a sense, but yeah, there's the founders and the pioneers, and we gotta always like acknowledge that, give them their props,
right,
and keep building off of that. And
to your point,
give the respect where it's due.
Right. To your point, I think people just get caught up on the word guest. Like guest mean like as if it means less than. Like, for instance, if you come out to Arizona, I would have you as a guest to my house. You'd be a respected guest. I want you there. And if you bring something like, how sometimes people bring a little gift to somebody's house, that gift stays in the house. It's the gift that I got from Jiggz, and now it's a part of the house. He's contributed to my house, right? He's a respected guest. He has legacy in my house. I don't understand, like, I think it's just the word guest that people are like, no, man, I created this, or I made this move, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And they think that the guest, it just takes on a negative connotation for them. Not realizing that there's really nothing wrong with being a guest. I mean, most people are guests in America, and it ain't stopping them.
I've even said it to like some older heads, like, yo, man, like it doesn't take away from who you are, what you've done, and what you've contributed. Like it doesn't take away from you, to give somebody else props. If anything, it makes you look more honorable, right? So,
yeah, man.
I mean, for the love of the game and everything, like, you got to appreciate everybody.
Word. Man, and I think on that note, that is a great place to conclude, man. I appreciate you stopping by, coming through. It's been great to talk to you. Haven't talked to you in so long, reconnecting. And you helped us with our I guess, our mission, which is basically just to show the humanity and the superhuman, man. And your stories are definitely going to be added to the legacy that is beyond the Cypher, man. So thanks again. And hopefully when all this COVID stuff is over and you find yourself in Arizona, you can come on to the actual man cave and we can have it have the face-to-face conversation, man. Maybe we'll break down some of your legacy battles. No
doubt. Or anytime, we could talk on the phone or whatever, and we could keep on with this conversation here. I know we could talk about this all day.
No doubt.
But man, yeah, shout out to everybody that somehow helped me or inspired me or even motivated me, even if it was to get better and battle. But you can't just go about this and not acknowledge the journey. It's always something that's going to continue, and you build off of that. It makes you who you are, and it doesn't mean that I can't get better or change. You know what I'm saying? So peace and shout out to everybody who took time out to show me love and put me on to this dope ass art. And I've met a lot of dope people, and I'm grateful for that. So thanks for having me again, Chris.
Cool, man. Peace. You still rap?
A little bit.
Man, you gonna you mind giving us a couple Supreme Beingz bars?
I mean, rapping is rapping. I don't know what
Yeah,
to rap
man.
about though.
Just rap about your crew, man. Rap about, I don't know. Rap about what's going on in your house. Rap about Supreme. I don't know. Make, you know. Should I just throw you words?
Uh, I don't know, a beat or a freestyle, acapella,
Yeah,
whatever.
just acapella, man. Go ahead. You New York, man. Let's go.
All right, a quick one. I don't know if I. All right, whatever. Freestyle. See if I remember this. All right. Damn, man, I need a beat, man. I don't do this battle rap shit without a beat. How do they do that nowadays?
Yo, well, because they don't freestyle it. They go write it. Like, you talking about like the URL and all that stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they go write the rhymes. They go write the raps, and then they just come spit them. They're not like freestyling it right there. So you know what I'm saying? And they, you know, they YouTube, internet, researching each other. They know all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Those dudes are ill, by the way. Like at rapping, the stuff that they come up with. But I don't know.
All right, here we go. Check it
All right,
out.
here we go.
Supreme Beingz on the scene. J-I-double-G to the Z. NYC, everybody know the status. I'ma bring the static. Stay causing the havoc. Far from your average. That's why you probably hating. You suckers need to get some style. Just face it. Learn your foundation. If you's a real B-boy, these toys get destroyed because they decoy. Scared to hit the circle. Shit is controversial. Some keeping it underground. Others go commercial. Listen to the verse, yo. I'ma make you cats reckon. I'ma take it back. Check it out. Ain't no half-stepping. Kind of like a max betting, if you get me hyper. The type to call you out in battle in the cypher. You don't want to act up, then I have to slap you. You can't act up. I learned twice as faster than your master. It's a rap, son.
Woo! There it is.